A friend of mine, his wife's always posting, right? So
Yeah.
he posted one picture on Instagram.
Yeah.
She's a flower farmer as well, and he's looking down. He goes, "This is what my opinion is of all my wife's photos." Like, oh my poor flowers. Said, "Yeah, that's spot on, man. Spot on."
Hey, but if it works, if it sells the flowers, right?
Yeah, 27,000 Instagram followers. It's got to be working.
How did you guys do that?
We just post pictures of well, two things. Two things. Number one, we have an amazing flower field,
Yeah.
and
As we can see here.
yes, 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 and of course my wife's photography. But then a lot of what she's done the last couple of years is we've just kind of shared our heart. So
Yeah.
where where she may be learning some personal things, or we just navigate some sticky situations. She just kind of shares that. I think that really kind of connects with people, so they get excited about that. So, but without good photography, I don't know.
It's all about the photography,
Yeah.
especially on the gram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Instagram for sure.
So, and you're a farmer here. You're a flower farmer. We're going to hear all about the farm, but you didn't start farming, right?
I didn't.
Wait, what were you doing professionally before you decided to become a farmer?
So I actually went to school for theology.
Really?
And yes, and so I worked at some ministries,
Yeah.
Christian camp,
Yeah.
and then I was in the pastorate for a little while, and then there was just a brief time where I was between really God's direction in my life, and a friend of mine offered me a chance to babysit their orchard,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him, I said, "Hey, I don't know anything about apples, but even worse, I don't know anything about farming. I don't know anything about agriculture. I don't even know anything about business, right? I really just." So he asked if I would maintain his property and watch over his orchard and run the whole operation. So meanwhile, my wife picked up a book at the library, and it says "Flower Farmers: How you can be a flower farmer." And she thought,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's awesome." She showed it to me, and I said, "Yeah. I'm going to run this orchard, and we're going to grow vegetables and be
Yeah.
market farmers." And I didn't sell a lot of vegetables.
And so where was this?
It was right in Ferndale, Washington.
Okay.
Yep. And so while I was busy trying to figure out how to grow apples and how to keep everything alive, she was reading flower farmer books, and it just I don't know. I think it kind of ignited in something in her where she was like, "Hey, yeah, I always thought it would be cool to grow a lot of flowers, and maybe can do it profitably." And we sold every stem she grew, and what the rabbits didn't eat of my vegetables, we composted whatever we couldn't consume ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I knew that was not the future for me. And so started growing flowers, and it just kind of took off from there. And now, obviously,
Yeah. How did you get this farm?
well,
Like that's one of the hardest parts is to get in to get some ground to grow stuff on.
It
right?
it is. And in the beginning, when we were just watching somebody else's property and kind of doing this as an experiment, we didn't really think that we would ever own our own place. So we just started looking around, started talking to farmers here in Whatcom County that know about what ground is good and what's important. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with farmers, and they say, if I could do it all over again, I would make sure I had
Right.
100% water rights. That's probably the
Yeah.
first thing that everybody tells me, have water rights. And then know what kind of soil you have.
Mhm.
And another smart farmer told me, you should grow whatever your soil is set up to grow already. Don't try to grow
Yeah.
broccoli in Whatcom County. It's going to be a tough run.
Hey,
So
I hear that it can be done.
yeah, and I know
on
there's,
the right soil.
there's
if you
some
can find it.
great farmers who do that. But yeah, even in the flower world, there are some flowers that like a thick, heavy soil.
Yep.
And there are some flowers that don't. And so we're on this beautiful berry soil. It's got that Lindale loam and that trope loam, and I got a little bit of pegmore muck as my property slopes down to the peat bogs over there. But yeah, I don't do good with flowers that need that thick, heavy, chunky stuff. I do stuff that grow beautiful on this loam, And as you can see, something's working.
They're doing all right.
Yeah,
Something is working.
they're doing just fine. Yeah.
So talk about that journey. You get this piece of land at some point and start. I mean, what was your philosophy going into this? Like, how much was it just piece at a time, and how much was there like an overarching plan of this is where we want to get to?
Yeah. So the story of how we got it, or it is an adventure. I don't
either
want to
one.
bore you with that. But,
No, either one. No.
well,
I mean,
okay, so-
we're here to hear the details.
Okay,
all
so
the
here's-
gory details.
Should I drop names? Is that, do we want that too?
Hey,
Okay.
whatever you feel comfortable with.
I got to be friends with Randy Kraft,
Yeah.
with Barbie's Berries,
Yep.
and very graciously he answered about 1 billion of my questions. Like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or what do you think? Just even irrigation questions and just general knowledge that I should have had that I didn't.
Yeah.
That he and just again I can name probably 30, 40 farmers that have just graciously looked at me like I look at my small children. Patiently told them what's going on. So when I was talking about land, I knew that I probably should just find some farmers who knew the area and knew what might be available in a couple of years or what is a good place to look. And Randy said, hey, you should look at that property that the USDA is up for foreclosure. They're auctioning it off, and they're looking for a new farmer, a young farmer, to come take it up. And it just worked out. We got in there right when they were closing it. And they did like a raffle almost, and so I mean, we still had to pay for it, but we had the ability.
It wasn't like $2 ticket and
I-
who comes away with the property kind of thing.
Not
that kind of raffle.
No. I
Okay.
wish it was that kind of raffle. No, but they have a program where some of their funds are allocated toward new farmers, young farmers, beginning farmers, socially disadvantaged farmers. And if you've been farming for more than 3 years, but less than 10 years, you qualify as you just need some help generally.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got this property. And then when we got here, we were still at the orchard. We were trying to do both. We're trying to manage the orchard and trying to manage this, trying to get this up and going. It was a foreclosure, so the property owners kind of took away everything that you think that they took the pump and they took a lot of stuff. So, anyways, it took a lot longer to redo the house than I was anticipating, and then just to get things in place that I didn't have and didn't know exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
So again, the great community here at Whatcom County selling me what I needed.
What were you doing to be able to pay the bills at that point? Like, how are you making it go?
After we got this property,
Yeah.
well, we were selling flowers,
Mm-hmm.
so and hoofing it. I mean, in the very, very beginning, how we started getting an income is I did have my housing and a living because I was managing somebody else's property. I was living at their place, so
Okay.
just had utilities, basic
Right.
things. And we just grew flowers and sold them to anybody that would buy them.
Yeah.
So that meant driving to florists, talking to grocery stores, and eventually it just happened that we found a couple of buyers at grocery stores that said, "Oh yeah, we'll buy your product," and we'd take sample buckets and say, "Hey, look, this is what we can do, and we can do it for you." And so they were gracious enough to give us a shot, and then we just started, tripling and quadrupling what we were growing every year, and now we have a little bit of extra.
So you had kind of a philosophy though of sustainability in putting this all together, right?
Yeah, I think that in the beginning, it's a very a romantic notion to think that, you could just jump into the middle of something that we've been doing for hundreds of years
Yeah.
and make sense of it, number one. But getting back to the land, growing our own food, growing agricultural projects that we're reselling, the idea was let's do that in a way that benefits nature and the world around us instead of takes away from it. And I think, there's so many people now that have just been awakened to a lot of the flip side of that.
Yeah.
Just making a profit at the cost of everything around you. And I just, in the community that I'm in, the agricultural community, I don't know anybody who thinks that way, because that's just like burning the bridge that you're walking on, right? So
Yeah.
eventually,
That's a good analogy.
yeah, it's I mean, maybe burning it behind you as you're walking, maybe,
But still, that's stupid and
right. And nobody does that. I mean, farmers understand, okay, so I've got to manage everything. So that means keeping water on my field, but doing it efficiently. So I'm not spending all the money in
yeah.
infrastructure, electricity, and just wearing everything out, right? So it's all about balancing everything out.
Yeah.
There's bugs on my vegetable. Well, nobody really wants to eat vegetables with bugs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. So you got to do something to keep them off. You can go out and pinch them all if you want, but that's going to limit the amount of vegetables you can grow effectively, right? So, all of those things, just really understanding how the plant is growing, what it needs, how can you help it. So sustainability was a thing that we were striving for in the very beginning, because there are some family goals that we have, and the idea when the opportunities started to present themselves, because I say opportunities because it's almost like we've course corrected every year. We do one thing, it's working great, and then the customer decides, oh, we don't need those sunflowers anymore. Okay, now what am I going to do with 1,000 sunflowers a week for 5 more weeks? Well, better find somebody else to sell them to. When we started scaling up our dahlia operation, we were wholesaling them to another farmer who was then retailing them, and we said, "Great, how many? What's the what's the limit?" Like they said, "Oh, there's no limit. We're selling out. So as many tubers as you can give us, we will sell." And then they decided, you know what? We're going a different direction after we just bought a bunch of tubers. But I mean, this, we're indebted to this. Chris and Aaron Benjamin out of Mount Vernon with Floret Flower Farm. We're indebted to them because Chris said, "Well, why don't you just retail your tubers?" And I said, "Man, we can't do that. We're not you. Like you're the picture perfect flower farmers."
Everybody knows Floret now. They've become such a thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Aaron posts a picture, and a bazillion people say, "Yay! I want to be just like you and own a flower farm." And so when they decided to stop selling tubers and start breeding their own, I had a bunch of tubers that I was planning on them selling. So Chris says, "Well, you just sell them." And I was like, "I can't do that." We sold them.
Nice.
And consequently, we've had to triple what we had the last couple of years. We keep tripling every year. This year, I've got about 29,000 in the ground. I still have, believe it or not, it's August, and I'm still putting tubers in the ground.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't think I'll triple next year. 100,000 dahlias is too much for me, but yes, safe to say that we're in the $30,000 or 30,000 dahlia range, and we're selling most everything we can produce.
And selling them to who? Just like online, direct to the consumer, or what?
Yeah. Online is the place where we sell our tubers, and then fresh cut flowers, we sell them everybody in the area. Well, anybody who wants them.
Yeah.
Currently, we just packed an order up for Charlie's Produce, and I was amazed to find out where they're going. I said, where are these things going to end up? I thought probably a chain in Seattle. And she goes, actually, these are going to Wyoming. I said, what?
Wow.
She goes, yeah, I'm not sure if these dahlias are going to Jackson Hole, but the last order we did with them went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm like, that is insane. So closer to home, we sell Whole Foods. They not all of their stores, but just about all of their Washington stores are using our dahlias. And then the Metropolitan Market is a chain in Seattle. They get our stuff. Couple of their chains that sometimes order and sometimes don't. We'll just see how this how the new normal is.
Yeah.
We'll see if we still sell to those or not.
Nobody knows really what's going to happen next.
No. Yeah. So we're just trying to stay flexible.
Yeah.
And get ready to course correct again if we need to. But yeah, that's where we are now.
So it's not just dahlias that you grow though, right?
No.
You kind of have a whole rotation going.
Yes, and we used to grow more variety,
Mm.
but in the beginning we grew more variety because we would really specifically kind of grow to what our customers would say they need. So when we were selling to small florists, they would need they would really need us to succession plant everything so that they could have sunflowers whenever they needed them, or some of the more ethereal kind of delicate flowers. So we would grow lots of different kinds of those flowers. Where one particular flower, like a cosmos, I mean, we might grow in the beginning now. We might grow 5 or 6 different kinds, varieties, so that we could get the different colors so it would match what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
And that just that's a lot of variety, a lot of planning. Fortunately, my wife handles all the planning. So that's what
Same.
we did. There you go. Very good. So that's what we did in the beginning, and then we started to find that there was a bit more opportunity for us in the way that we were. Our overall goal was to grow more of less varieties.
Mm.
So again, in the beginning, 150, 200 different types of stuff. That was insane.
Like different types of dahlias, or dahlias and all different kinds of flowers?
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
Everything from hellebore starts in the winter to ranunculus and anemone, onto your summer flowers, then your fall flowers, and
Wow.
at the same time on rented land we didn't do a lot of this, but we started to establish some perennials. So we put in some roses and some hydrangeas and some stuff that we knew was a long-term crop. But yeah, now that we're on our own place, we're still doing that. We're putting in we've got a couple thousand roses, and we put in 4 new colors this year. So put in the coveted Coco Loco and Distant Drums and Honey Dijon and State of Grace. So those are roses that you even a designer can't always go to the wholesaler and get them.
Hmm.
Because they're just not they're not as bulletproof as some of the South American roses that are available. And so when we
So
find
that's the stuff that's in the grocery store, kind of like all the time, middle of winter. That stuff's coming from South America.
middle of winter, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great farms down there, and I love the fact that as a because part of what we do is also we design for events and weddings. Not this year.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, we had 60 2 years ago, 44, 45 weddings last year, and this year we everybody canceled except 2.
Wow.
Now, fortunately, some of those that are canceled have actually they just needed to do really small backyard ceremonies, so we'll sell them flowers, but it's
Yeah.
not the whole,
Yep.
couple
Totally.
$1,000 flower budget. No,
Right.
they're looking for $100 worth of flowers,
Yeah.
because it's them
Yeah.
and their in-laws.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, but with the roses, the ones that are coming up in the winter, those are they're for sale in the winter. Those are very sturdy, and they've been bred so that they store well, and that they ship well, and that they last a long time. And that's a little bit different than your grandmother's roses that you went
Mhm.
out there and smelled.
Mm-hmm.
And just remember her baking cookies and going out and
Yeah.
walking through her flower garden. Yeah, so those are the kind of roses that we're growing. And I'm thankful for those South American farms that produce flowers when we can't.
Mm.
But I'm sure willing to put my flowers against them
Nice.
during season any day of the week.
Local.
Local.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, and it's just, if you're getting a rose at a grocery store that's coming from South America, that was picked sometimes a week and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? Put in cold storage, kind of like Han Solo from Star Wars, frozen, not quite, but
Yeah.
and then by the time it gets to your to the grocery store, a lot of those are going to a distribution center, and then it's taking another day to transit, and it's coming here, and I mean, by the time you get it here, it's already almost on its last leg.
A little different than when people get your flowers; they're cut the same day,
A lot of times, yep, same day or,
or
day
the day
before.
before.
Yep, so we can condition them and get them to you so they're just in the perfect state.
Awesome. Now you guys grow more than just flowers, though, too, right? You've got blueberries, other stuff. What else do you have?
Yeah, the addictions are They run deep. Yeah. So we did.
Addictions, I like that.
Yeah. Well, I started just as a kind of a side note. I started keeping bees because we needed bees for the orchard. So I just started talking to the beekeeper, brought him in, and I thought, this is amazing. I love this. And he goes, well, you should buy a couple of hives. And I'm like, okay. So I bought,
So you're a beekeeper
so
too.
I bought three hives, and then he's like, well, you know, if they're healthy and they're getting lots of nectar, you need to split them and make them, keep them healthy, keep them balanced. You split them. So split them, and all of a sudden I had 9 hives at the end of the year, and then I had 14, and all of a sudden I turned around, I had 37 or 38 hives, and I was like, this is a problem.
Another addiction.
Yes, yes. So it's the same way with, hey, I love good food, and I love to grow things, and so I'll start planting some garlic, and then next thing you know, I'm like, I got 600 feet of garlic. What am I going to do with 600 feet of garlic? So yeah, we got a lot of vegetables, and what we kind of pivoted this last year is growing vegetables and just edible flowers so that we could use them for our events. However, our events, all of our overnight retreats have been canceled.
All these big plans that a lot of people have had related to events this year, 2020.
Yes. However, we've been eating really good here at Triple Wren Farms. These gourmet tomatoes and all the specialty sweet corn. Yeah.
You have a little U-pick thing going on here too, right? Is that just for blueberries, or can some of those other veggies go to people that way?
Yeah, sometimes we do put other veggies in our stand, in our farm stand up there. But yeah, when we got the property, it had 2.5 acres of blueberries on it.
Okay.
And so
blueberries take a long time to establish. So hey, they're already there. A lot of that work's been done.
Right. Yeah. So thank you to the person who planted them and maintained them for the last couple of years. But yeah, they're actually about 30-year-old bushes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I don't do hardly anything to them. Much to the chagrin of most of the blueberry farmers listening, I would imagine. But yeah, I mow them and try to keep the blackberries out, but we don't. I don't even have a water on them yet. Fortunately, most of them are in really good, thick soil, so they can make it through. And this year we've gotten the extra rain. Berries are huge and they're delicious. So yeah, with minimal effort, we have a phenomenal blueberry for U-pick, and it's a great way for people to pick blueberries, spend some time outside of their quarantine area, and then walk through the flower fields. A lot of people love to do that.
How many total acres do you have here?
There's a little over 20.
20 acres.
Or in the words of a wise farmer, I said, I'm looking for about 20 acres. He goes, that's a lot of grass to mow. So should have listened a little bit more to the wide sage advice. You know, the more property you get, the more management it's going to take. So yeah, 5 acres is looking pretty good right now.
But you wouldn't be able to produce nearly as much product as you do, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah, there's about 6 acres into flower production. Then I've got the blueberries, and I've just tilled up another 4 acres in the back that I'm just trying to put the fertility back in there. For years, the people who were here before me hate it, and that done well is great for your soil. But if you don't put any nutrition back in, or if you just cut and don't ever give back. So yeah, I'm in the process of putting some dairy salads. My generous neighbor, Mr. Ed, has got all the
manure.
Yeah, he says, I asked him in the beginning, I said, hey, do you mind if I grab some of that pressed salads? And he said, yeah, I mind if you grab a little. You should take it all. So
that sounds like Ed.
He said,
I know your neighbor.
Yeah. I said, well, you want me to call and let you guys know that I'm there picking it up? I'll just drive over and pick it up with my tractor because I'm next door. And he goes, do I want you to call? Yeah, so people don't think I'm stealing. He goes, stealing poop? He said, trust me, steal all the poop you want.
Oh man. So
yeah,
you grow food, you grow flowers. Talk about your family. I mean, you guys are kind of doing it all, plus some extra crew that comes in at times for harvesting things, etc.
Yeah, of course, COVID changed all that, right? So we normally have quite a bit bigger crew early spring, and then harvesting. There's we ship thousands of stems every week, and so we just physically can't do that with 2 people. We tried.
Yeah.
It's not possible. So yeah, there's about a dozen people that are seasonal. A couple of them are closer to full time, and this last year, pretty close to year round, but still just a little bit of gap when that COVID hit us. Yeah, so we had to scale that back, especially with the with inside the shipping and um, uh, the tasks that we had to do that was inside a barn. We couldn't really socially distance,
Yeah.
and so that we just had to do all in house. So it was Team Pabody. But
Work,
yeah,
work, work.
yeah. But during the season, like I said, there's about I think we're at 12, maybe 14 people, and that will drastically be reduced after we get our first frost, because from July till for us we get a frost the first week of October, and so from then it's go time. We're out in the field cutting flowers, shipping flowers, and then once we get over that, then the wonderful task of working in the Pacific Northwest, October and November, digging the plants out of the ground, storing them, getting them ready for winter, is a race against that freeze. Frost is one thing, but that freeze comes, and
Yeah.
if you didn't get it out of the ground before then, that's it. Game over.
It'll kill the tuber.
Yeah, kill the tuber and any of the other plants that you were trying to grab.
Now explain that with dahlias, because that's kind of your main thing. That's your claim to fame. And you sell the flowers and you sell the tubers. Explain how that works. So they're not like a normal flower that you would grow from seed that people are used to. They have a tuber kind of like a potato.
Yes.
That's in the ground, and then you save it for the next year. Not really like bulbs, related, I guess, sort of, but
Perhaps distant cousins.
yeah.
So yeah, it's so the dahlia is originally a Central American flower.
Okay.
So that's another reason why we love Central American flower farmers, because they gave us the dahlia.
Yeah.
So it was imported to Europe as a food crop, and then right next
They
to
ate the tubers?
you can eat the tubers. They're a little fibrous, and
Yeah.
they don't taste as good as those Idaho Golds.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So quickly, people said this is way too much work to
Yeah.
get something subpar to a potato, but the flowers are amazing. So then they started making it to the gardens, and I don't know how long they've been really popular. They seem to have recently got a surge,
Yeah.
probably in part to Floret, maybe some other big names out there. But when we first started growing them, we were just growing them just for the cuts, and now we grow them for all of the above. We grow them for the cuts, for the tubers, and then we're doing some breeding, just a little bit. But yeah, in the spring, around here with this climate, we usually tell people to go for around Mother's Day. You want to get your tubers in the ground, and then just wait. Soil warms up, they start popping out, and they'll flower all the way until, if they're cared for.
Yeah.
If you keep water on them, keep them fed, and you keep cutting them. Believe it or not, if you stop cutting the dahlias, it doesn't flower as much because it starts putting seed pods.
Oh, okay.
Signals for the plant that it's going to reproduce that way. So it'll reproduce with seeds, and it'll also reproduce with tubers. So while you're seeing those seed pods up top, it's producing tubers down below. And what comes out of the seed is not going to be the same flower that formed that seed pod. There's
Because it's a cross, right?
Well, yes, in the way that, I don't know, just the way the dahlia is made, a seed doesn't come true. Sometimes it'll be very close. It'll have the same color, maybe even the same form factor, but it's never the same flower. The tubers, however, are exactly the same.
Right.
So we bring those up in, like I said, in October, dig them up and store them, and then divide them and sell some of them and plant some of them and do it all again. Rinse, sleep, repeat. I can't remember how that thing goes, but yeah, we do a lot of that around here.
So it's you and your wife, and then you have 2 kids?
2 kids, yes. Fortunately, my son is getting old enough now that I can put him on the mower and say, all right, go put in your couple hours of mowing. And he has joined the harvest crew for some of that. So it's just such a mad rush because there's a window where you can harvest the flowers and have a pristine product that once it gets to be about 10 o'clock in the morning, that window is done.
Really?
Yeah, and we We've tried starting really early, but with our crew, we generally don't start before 6. So 6 to 10 is when we're all hands on
Go,
deck.
go.
Yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
of course, Sarah and I sometimes will be out here as soon as we can start to see.
Yeah.
And then take a little break for the heat of the day and just do other stuff where we weed. That never seems to stop around here. Mow, tie up flowers and get our stuff straightened up. And then in the cool of the evening, a lot of times we're coming back out to harvest more flowers. So, yeah, that's why we have so many hands on deck. And so my son's gotten incorporated into that. And my daughter cuts flowers, but generally not that we're going to resell. She loves to design, and she's got 4 or 5 arrangements in her bedroom right now. So it's great.
Now, isn't she part of the name of the farm too?
She
Where did Triple Wren
is.
come from?
Yeah. So you got to be in the circle of trust to know that.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Now, so in the very beginning, when we realized, hey, this farming, it really is hard work. We gotta have a plan. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna have to go all in. And so we decided, well, what motivation do we need to get out of bed at 5 in the morning? Okay, well, we can build something for our kids. Maybe they don't want to go into agriculture. I'm not sure, but we want to at least give them the opportunity. So our stewardship of the land, our stewardship of our opportunity, all that went into why we initially started doing this. And we thought, what's a cool name? Well, my son is Stephen George Pabody III. So there's the triple. And my daughter's name is Chloe Wren. So there's the Wren, Triple Wren Farms. So
Got it.
With
So
any
it's
luck.
named after your children.
It is. Yeah. Like I said,
That's cool.
something's got to get you out of bed in the morning and keep you going till midnight at night sometimes.
Well, part of, though, I would say, from what I've seen of you guys, what you guys do, part of your success has to do with how you've branded yourself, too. That people recognize who you are, you stand for something. We'll talk about that. How did that come about? How did you decide? I mean, you explain how the name came about. How did you do the branding? How big of a role has that kind of played in how you have put this together?
Well, I think that with the popularity of social media, people are looking for stuff out there that they connect with.
Yeah.
Everybody loves flowers. So at the very beginning, we just started really picking up on the need to have good photography of the flowers we grow. 'Cause I'm always reminded of this, especially here in Whatcom County. There are some incredible farmers here. There's some incredible growers of flowers, and I'm surprised nearly every year I learn of another incredible farmer or incredible grower, but nobody knows about them.
Yeah.
Right? The people that know about them have met them or know somebody who knows them. Right?
That's why I'm doing this podcast, because I want to go and get to know these people and allow a lot of other people to join in and also get to know them and know their heart for what they're doing.
That's a very lofty goal. That's great. So we realized very quickly that we needed to present ourselves on social media. And even though most farmers don't want to take the time to put content up, whether that's just pictures and a funny picture about what the cow is doing that day, like Erica, she's doing a great job with her.
The word, yeah.
Yeah. She's,
Farmer Girl.
Oh,
She's episode 3 of the podcast.
Oh, is she?
My third interview on Real Food, Real People. You can go back in the archives and look at it.
I don't know if I heard that one. I've
listen
heard most
to it,
of
I
yours,
guess.
but I might have missed that
Yeah.
one. So sorry, Erica. I'll go immediately today and listen to your episode. So yeah, I mean, just that connection. It really is just giving people a window into what you're doing, and we try not to put pictures of us digging the dahlias in October when everybody's fingers are numb and it's nasty outside and you're just having to find joy from inside to keep
But
doing
isn't
your
that
job.
reality?
That is, and we do post those occasionally, but mostly what we post is, hey, do this kind of hard labor and look what it's going to do.
Yeah.
And the flowers and the beautiful side of it, and try not to gloss over the negatives.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what you do in life. There's parts of that you're not going to like.
Mm-hmm.
If I was an accountant, it would be most of that job. But there's some incredible things about an accountant's job. I love accountants. So this is the highlight of what we do.
Yeah.
Is you see the finished product, or you get to taste the produce or the blueberries, or you get to have that perfect warty, twisted pumpkin on your front porch
That's right.
that
'Cause you
I
guys do
grew.
pumpkins too. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a pumpkin patch in the fall. But yeah, if you have the opportunity to come to a farm, you get that window. But then you kind of say, hey, remember when we went to Triple Wren Farm and
Yeah.
ran to that Dahlia Festival that they have? I would like to grow some of those here, and get on our Instagram or go to our webpage, and you can see what flowers are available. It's just off to the races from there.
Okay, give us the shameless plug. What's the web address?
TripleWrenFarms.com.
That's easy to remember.
Easy peasy. Yeah,
And-
farms is plural. That's the only thing that confused some people.
And at Triple Wren Farms, I think too, is the social media handle.
Yeah.
I don't know. The autofill thing will come up.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the Facebook, the Instagram. I not really posting on Twitter anymore, but all those other platforms we're trying to get away from and just focus on a couple of them.
Yeah. So, but you said earlier to me when we were setting up here, you have a background in IT as well.
Shh, don't tell anybody that. They'll call me for their computer problems.
Well, they'll call you for their flowers.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in IT for a little while,
Yeah.
and was basically on upgrading systems, so the hardware side of things. Back before the operating systems were so intuitive, and you actually had to tell them where to go to access the hardware pieces or to the system boards or the memory. Back when you had to, get down and dirty with that stuff. Now you just go buy it from the store, plug it in, and
And it works.
yeah, the wizards that come now are yeah,
Fingers
that's true.
crossed.
Yeah, as I saw you messing around trying to get everything to sync up. Yeah. But so yeah, I have a little background in that, but don't really delve into that too much these days.
What's it like dealing with stress on the farm? Because you come from a different background, not from farming, so you've experienced stress in different realms. Doing IT and doing stuff like dealing with camps and being like a minister, and now farming, and they all have their own kinds of stress. How do you compare all those, and what have you learned through that journey, how to deal with that?
Not quite sure how to answer that. Stresses are different,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes it may be a guilty pleasure of mine to just get out in the fields and just weed dahlias, or get on the tractor and just mow.
Let the stress go.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with people, you just have to be a lot more observant, because everybody's problems aren't the same. Everybody's recollection of the truth isn't the same.
Yeah.
And so everything's so different, especially in our climate today. Just so many things to think about and consider, and just to be gracious with.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe part of the blessing of going of having those different stress levels is I realize a crop failure is not that big a deal.
Hmm.
I mean, it certainly could alter my future.
Yeah.
Or it will alter my future. Let me just clarify that. And it may inform what we do next year, but spring is coming. There's a new season on the horizon, and
So you've dealt with more stressful things than that in the past. Gives you a different perspective.
yeah, people dealing with interpersonal problems or with pressures that are life altering. Stakes are so much higher when you're dealing with that, and as opposed to this, we're going to get another shot next year to do it all again.
Yeah.
So
Whether
pros
that's a
and
good or
con-
bad thing, it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. Yeah.
pros and cons. You put in 10 acres of raspberries, and lose those raspberries.
Yeah.
It takes you a while to recover. Or
Yep.
some of our longer term crops. If we mess up with those, the stakes are higher. But at the end of the day, we can recover from those. And so, with all of the pressures that's going on, and with all of the uncertainty in our society right now, in the world, those are much more monumentous, as opposed to where am I going to sell my flowers. I'm concerned that I can sell all my flowers, and not to backtrack, but all of our planning this last January was for events,
Right.
overnight retreats. We got these cute little, I say cute, like I know what cute means, right? But according to my wife, it's this cute little setup. I just look at it as a lot of extra extremities, lights and twinkle lights and lanterns.
We won't tell
Yeah.
her that you
She
think that.
Hopefully she won't listen to this. That's the key. No, but she spent a lot of time and a lot of effort making them just feel nice and romantic and homey. And you get into these little tents, so that's what you can do for overnight. And then in conjunction with that, having some different focuses in our workshops or we do farmer training. We had a dahlia camp set up for this year, trying to still pull that off in a different kind of way. And all of that kind of has changed. So those kind of stresses and those kind of pressures are related to what's going on right now. But yeah, they're manageable. They're manageable because at the end of the day, you got to get out here, got to keep your plants alive,
Yeah.
manage everything, and then you just look at the flowers, listen to the rooster crow in the background, go out, feed the hogs, feed the animals. Everything's good again.
When you made the decision to go into this farming thing, did you go full time with it right away, or were you kind of still part time? That was a side hustle, and then it.
Yeah. So for me, it was unusual. It was because somebody asked me to manage their property.
Right.
So they did that. Again, that covered the land. I didn't have to
Right.
make a land payment. I didn't have to worry about rent because I was living in their house. But I was also working off farm, like I think most farmers actually do.
Yeah.
So working off farm, and then the flowers kind of, like I said, started as just an idea my wife had about what to do and or just about an experiment she was doing that was successful. And so then what happened is we kept growing, and I would work on it before work and after work.
Yeah.
And it just got so big so fast that I stopped my off-farm employment and then just jumped in both feet, full steam ahead.
Was that scary?
It probably should have been. Again, not paying attention to those to the sage advice that I was being given. Don't quit your day job. But we were just we just were running into so many opportunities so quickly that it wasn't that scary because I came to the point to where we had more opportunity than we had product, and so what we needed was to grow more flowers. So once we started doing that, then the income came in, at least for a little while.
Have you had a moment where you're like, why did I do this? Where you're not sure if you're going to make it? I know farmers kind of ride that roller coaster where things are great, and then they go through the valleys where things are like, I don't know. I'm not sure if this is going to work.
Yeah, I think most small farmers anyways probably are there every year.
Yeah.
And they go, okay. So we
Big farmers, believe it or
yeah,
not, too.
yeah, probably now, especially. I know some dairy guys that are just like, we gave away more milk this in the scariest times than we years to make that, to recover that. So sometimes it's good to be a small farmer.
Yeah. Double-edged sword.
Because 2,400 head of milking cows don't stop producing milk.
No.
And don't stop eating.
Yeah, you can't wait and have them produce milk when it's worth more.
Right, yeah. Well, we'll wait until everything gets back to normal, and then we'll start milking again. Yeah, no, just unfortunately, that's not reality. Yeah.
So how with COVID, how are you? It sounds like you guys are managing, even though it's probably hurt the bottom line pretty badly.
Yeah. Again, I think the thing about farming is not only is there the science of growing and just everything it has to do with that, but there's also a farmer has to at some degree be a entrepreneur or a businessman.
Yeah.
And I think the key to entrepreneurship is flexibility. Seeing an opportunity, seeing a hole in the market and filling it. Nobody grows good sweet corn. Okay, I'm going to grow sweet corn. Nobody we don't have a good a good beef producer, and I know we have great producers here
You're
in
just
Whatcom.
saying hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically, nobody's growing ostrich in Whatcom County, so that's a great thing for somebody to be in if there's a market for it.
Yeah, true.
Not really sure that would be my first choice,
I
but
thought there was somebody who did that or does that.
I probably offended somebody. They're like, "What? I got all these ostrich." So if you grow ostrich, let me know. I'll get some ostrich from you.
If I recall, it was something that somebody tried, and I don't know if it's still going. So I think you're probably safe there.
Okay, good. Yeah. So the aspect of having to shift and to pivot, I think is in kind of in the whole. I mean, that's what you sign up for. Sometimes
Helps with
it's
an
easier.
annual crop too. It's easier than a perennial crop like you're talking about.
It is. Yeah. So, and fortunately, we have plenty of annuals, but we have some perennials that kind of. It helps too with that, right? So you get a infestation of something and it knocks out one crop, and okay, well we do still have blueberries.
Yeah.
We do still have roses and hydrangeas and all the other stuff. So, yeah. But in answer to your question, I think just really trying to filter everything that we know is happening and realizing where the potential is, and then just kind of shifting. I got a good friend down in Seattle, and his whole business, and he has, I don't know how many people he's got working for him, but he's a wedding, what does he call himself? He does everything. Like he'll do the catering, he'll do the planning, he'll do the flowers, he'll set up the whole venue. So
Wow.
yeah, he's a little bit amazing, I think.
Yeah.
But when this whole thing happened, of course, all of his events just said, nope, we're not going to do them. And so he's just doing something different until he can do weddings again, because that's what he really loves to do. He loves to choose the linens and the everything, make it just perfect for you. And so in the meantime, he did a pop-up shop. He was doing little arrangements with some accents for your home decor. And I thought, man, there's nothing that guy can't do.
Yeah.
But he shifted because he obviously wants to take care of his employees and feed his family.
Yeah.
And he put too much time and effort into his business to just watch it fly away. So he did something different. It's working. And he'll probably, well, not probably, I know he's anxious to get back into the wedding game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
As I would guess your wife probably is too.
Yes. There's a little bit of sadness that so many of our weddings canceled and more of them postponed. But again, it just gives us the opportunity to do something different. In the meantime, pretty convinced that they're not going to go away. People are still going to get married, and they're still going to want to have a nice spread with flowers. And so I know that'll come back eventually. It may be different, and we'll pivot in accordance and meet what people need when it starts to run again.
Pivot.
Pivot.
It's the word of the day.
There you go. I love that word. Probably use it too much.
What's been the scariest moment in this whole journey?
Well, you might be referring to my health episode.
Well, or anything else but I know that you almost died. At one point.
According to my nurse, I died several times. He just kept bringing me
Really?
back. Well, yeah, I was.
Really?
I didn't realize this until high school, but I was born with a heart defect, and
Okay.
I didn't discover it until I wanted to go out for football, and they said you have to have a physical, and so I did, and the doctor said, "Oh, you got a heart murmur." And I said, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Don't worry about it. It's stunted your growth and caused severe mental retardation. But other than that, you're good."
He actually said that to you?
He did. He was a football doctor, man.
So he was just trying to rattle your cage.
Yeah, football doctors are not known for their bedside manners. As a matter of fact, completely opposite, right? He's a great football doctor.
You got to know your audience when you say something like that. I know there are some kids who'd be like, and be totally crushed, but apparently you were okay with it. You got that he was joking.
I understood that, yes. Not the smartest guy in the room, but eventually things trickle down, and I do perceive the intended jest. So yeah, I didn't really worry about it. Then I got to college after a couple of years. They looked at me again, and they said, "This has gotten a lot worse. You should consider having surgery.
Mm.
And I said, okay. And they said, actually, you're going to have surgery eventually because this is not going to resolve itself. Just in the short amount of time that they had done some tests when I was in high school to when I was junior in college. And so the ironic thing is I left college and I went to a youth camp where I was doing manual labor, and my health increased. I was, working hard every day, and
So
long
you had
days.
been getting checked because your health wasn't doing well? Like you were, what, fatigued or something?
Yeah, there was a flu that went on
Okay.
at the college that I went to, and a third of the college got sick with this flu. So I was in the they had their little on-campus hospital, and they said, "Hey, we hear something weird going on with your heart." I'm like, "Oh yeah," I said very arrogantly. "Wow, you're a pretty good doctor because not everybody catches that heart murmur." And she says, "Well, my specialty is cardiovascular health. So, yeah, I'm going to catch any flutter that you have." So when she looked at my echocardiogram, the test that they had done, she said, I want you to have another one because this sounds significant. And then, thankfully, she said, "No, this is a big deal for you." So, again, we took it really serious, and I limited all my physical activity, and my health actually started to decline when they gave me a key to the elevator in the student building so I could ride the elevator to the third floor instead of walk up the steps. And I was in the dormitories on the third floor as well, and they moved me to the first floor so I didn't have to use the steps.
Right.
And all of that stuff affected me negatively when I stopped doing it. So after college, I went to a youth camp. I maybe a bit naively just threw caution to the wind and said, I'm gonna jump here because this is awesome fun. And
So you start using your body and you get that energy back.
I did, and I started
And
getting
so
healthy again.
You're probably thinking, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna walk it off. All right, isn't that what all guys say? Just let me walk it off. So that worked for well, it's been a couple of years since I've been in college, I'll be honest with you. And but now, in my 40s and farming, things are going well for a
So
while.
you still hadn't done anything with it?
No, and I am originally from the East Coast, so
Okay.
I was under a cardiologist care there, and when I moved out here, I conveniently didn't find one out here for a couple of years,
I see what's
much
going
to my
on.
wife's chagrin.
Yep.
Finally, sense prevailed, and she convinced me to go to a local cardiologist, and they said, "Okay, well, you're doing manual labor, and you look good, so I think we just look at it." And I said, "Well, you think I can get away from surgery?" my cardiologist is Dr. Tom Oliver, and he said, "Oh no, you're going to go under the knife for sure, but we can probably put it. You're the best judge of when we need to do that." And so just yearly checkups, and then 2017 came around. We got this farm that we're on in 2016. Didn't really get settled on it until 2017, but that's when things really started to kick off, and we expanded drastically. But then my health started declining, and I didn't understand, hey, it's getting harder and harder to do what was already kind of difficult. And then in 2018, it really started to plummet. And so then we had a surgery scheduled. I went in, went through surgery fine, and was actually walking right after surgery, and the doctor told me, my surgeon said, "You're going to be out of here in a couple of days. This is amazing." He says, "You're walking. This is a good sign." Most people takes them, a good half a week to a week to get out of the hospital after open heart, but yeah, you can maybe, let's see if you can do it in 3 days, 4 days. I'm like, all right, you're on. Then my heart rebelled.
This is why you're still at the hospital?
Yes, fortunately, yeah, another day, then I just real lethargic and thinking, what's going on? My heart was beating real fast, and it would slow down, and it was having trouble regulating. With the surgery was pretty extensive. They replaced my entire aortic root and a couple of valves. While they were in there, they did a couple other things that are helpful. They wouldn't normally do unless they already have you opened up. But they're like, hey, while you're open, let's go ahead and put a clamp here, and let's put a safeguard here. And so great. I can't say enough good things about my cardiologist over at North Cascade Cardiology with Peace Health. But when things started to come to a head, the heart would beat about 3 times what it was supposed to, and then it would drop down, and it was dropping down into the 20s, the 30s, and the 20s beats per minute. So if you know anything about your heartbeat, that's not good.
Mm.
Even for super athletes, 30 beats per minute is too slow.
Mm-hmm.
So and then it just gave out. Fortunately, my nurse, shout out to Aaron. Thank you very much, Aaron. He kind of foresaw that things were going south fast, and so he got me all hooked up to this special machine that,
So your heart stopped then, and while he was hooking you up, or what?
No, he was quicker than that. He said,
knew that something was going to happen, and they need to hook you up.
He said, I think you don't need this, but just so that the doctor knows that I'm going, I'm thinking outside, thinking forward. I'm gonna put these things on you. So he put those pads on me, strapped them on.
He's
got
probably
me all,
saying that, but inside he's like, "This is not looking good with this guy."
yeah,
right?
he's probably saying, I'm about to lose this guy. So we're still joking around, having a good time, and I was on obviously a lot of
painkillers,
opiates, so
Yeah.
I was having a good time no matter what. But then it just started dropping, and we got down to 20 beats a minute. And he said, if it goes below this, I'm giving him the needle, the epinephrine, I think.
Wow.
It's amazing how much of the stuff that you remember when you're right in the middle of it, or don't
crazy.
remember and
Yeah.
are refreshed. But yeah, he had to give me that shot a couple of times, and it didn't work, and then heart just stopped. So they brought me back, and then they put me on that external pacemaker, and it kept shocking me when my heart would stop beating, and so.
So your heart stopped beating more than once.
Yes, well, your heart beats.
Right.
How many times a minute?
Right.
Hopefully in the 60s and
bullshit.
70s. Yeah. And so when it beats slower than that, it's a problem. But then when it stops beating, it's a serious problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, he put me on that very nice machine that causes a little bit of pain, but the reward is worth it.
So they're basically, it's like hooked up to you, but it's like giving you the paddles that you hear about in the ambulance kind of thing.
Yeah, just not with a full charge, right? Because my heart just needed a little bit of encouragement after they got me going again, and then they immediately took me to surgery and put a pacemaker in to keep that thing going.
So how many times did your heart stop?
I don't know. I know every time it got below a certain amount, that machine took over and gave me a charge. So then it would beat again faster. So I think that's the main thing, is that thing kept my heart up to where I was getting enough oxygen. So more mental retardation wasn't kicking in.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So that's like knocking on death's door if your heart is continually stopping. What did they find out? What was going? How did they fix it?
In the words of my cardiologist, sometimes your heart just throws a hissy fit after we go in and touch it. So, I mean, the medicine, a number of the doctors told me this. They said, we call it practicing medicine for a reason. As much as they know, there's always a loop. There's always something unexpected. So everything looked like it was going smooth. I thought I was recovering smooth. A small part of me said no. So yeah, I am thankful for the care I got at the hospital and the extra mile that the nursing staff and doctors gave me, and here we are, ready to do it again.
They saved your life.
I think so. I think several times probably.
Wow.
The good news is those nurses.
Yeah.
I told them, I said, you guys saved my life, and I can't really return the favor, but you get free blueberries for life, free flowers for life. So it's been a pretty joyful reunion to have some of my nurses come back out here, and a couple of my doctors visit me during season. And
amazing.
Yeah, I'm able to send them home with honey from my hives, gourd, zucchinis, produce, flowers, blueberries. Take it all. Eggs, So
That's amazing.
Life is sweet, especially when you almost didn't have it. So makes you thankful. And it makes the stresses and the plates that you have to juggle almost manageable.
That's quite the story. I mean, how does that change what your future's going to look like? What you end up doing, next year, 10 years down the road, whatever your plan is with this farm?
Well, the goal is, you know, to continue to grow it to where it's sustainable, right? Not only the fertility in the soil,
Right.
so that it can sustain more growth and different crops, but on the business side, that it's paying for itself, and it gets to our plans are to grow it to where we can have more than one full-time person, or with Sarah and I, more than just a couple of us full-time,
Hmm.
so that we have opportunity to do other stuff.
Like
There's
take a week off and go on vacation?
Hey, let's not get crazy here. We do this because we love it. We don't want to go away from it.
Every farmer I talk to on this podcast, what's a vacation? What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, from midnight to 4 in the morning. That's my vacation. Every day. I take one every day.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, and, just we're trying real hard to pour ourselves into our kids. And when you are pulling long hours, sometimes that kind of gets out of balance. So having the ability to take a day and do something fun with your kids, or my son is into archery, so I've told him for a couple of weeks now, hey, let's build a target, a better stand for you, and so
Yeah.
it can. So I've got the wood, but I haven't assembled it yet. So
Yeah.
getting to a stage to where we're focusing on what's really important for our future, for our kids' future, at the same time continuing to enjoy the benefit of capitalism. We can build a business that
Yeah.
that provides for our livelihood and others, and really does something impactful in our community. There's nowhere else in Whatcom County that you can come and see 30,000 flowering plants. Excuse me. Let me take that back, because I guess everybody that has vegetables, they're always flowering, right? Just maybe not quite as beautiful as
Yeah.
the flowers that I have.
Said you grew up on the East Coast.
I did.
Where'd you grow up?
Florida, Alabama. So exactly opposite of what you would expect somebody from the Pacific Northwest to.
It's a long ways away.
It is. Yeah. But we love it out here.
What did you do when you were a kid? What'd your parents do?
Um, that's a good question too. I think my dad was a bit of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He's done a few things over the years. He had a chain of grocery stores for a little while, and then he had a furniture finishing business for a little while, and then he went into rental properties. So, yeah, maybe this entrepreneur bug is an honest one that I have. Yeah, he's done a few different things. He's kind of a jack of all trades, in my estimation. So,
But going back to a class reunion or something, would anybody have expected that you would become a farmer?
no, I think they would think that I'm pulling their leg. I'm pretty sure nobody would. If you were to guess and give somebody a prize, I don't think anybody would win that prize. So,
Thank you so much for sharing your story and having me out here to the farm. I mean, this is amazing out here. And what you guys are doing is really, really cool. But the story is the best part. Now, that journey that you guys have been on to get where you are, really, really cool stuff.
well, thanks. I appreciate you having me on, and it's always good to talk with you.